Hello YouTube. Today I'm just gonna make this quick video. Specifically, I have code P0051, I believe that's the code, and it's for sensor bank 2, sensor 1, so it's the one before the cat on top. And this is a V8 four-wheel drive model, so it's a 4.7 liter. It should be the same on like Tundras and Sequoias with the same engine, etc. So bank 2 is going to be on the passenger side. I looked up a bunch of videos to try to figure this out. There was a few, but they just weren't that good. So that's why I'm making this one, because I felt like they weren't too great. And so here we are on the passenger side. Driver's side is over there where all the brake stuff is. If you look down here, there's really no room up here. So people usually say is take off the passenger side front wheel, and that should give you room. And this is where we're going to be looking at. So it's going to be right here. So that's your header where it bolts up to the engine, and then you have this piece right here, and then your catalytic converter is right here. So right before the catalytic converter, right there is where your sensor will be. And I already have an O2 sensor socket in it. I just had this socket for a long time from working on other cars. It's a 22 millimeter. I think it's usually everyone I've ever worked on was a 22 millimeter, so I use the same one. And then I have a 3/4 ratchet that adapts to it. That's what that's made for. And then I have a handle because it's gonna need some strength, because there's really no room. As you can see, it goes up to here and down to here. That's how much room you have to pull. And yes, it would be way easier. Hold on. It would be way easier if you remove this wheel. Well, not way easier, but significantly easier. For me, I just jacked it up right here on the frame by that bar, a little bit, so it's just barely enough off the ground, just to give me a little bit more clearance here. But yeah, I'm using this handle. It's from an engine stand. Is the handle that's used to rotate an engine. So it's pretty solid, and that's what I'm going to try to use to loosen it. And I also sprayed some WD-40 on it, as you can see, some oil there, beforehand, to see if that would work. I would recommend doing that overnight if you can, but I did not remember to do that, so we'll see if this loosens up. Not bad. So as you could probably hear, I just smacked the frame, which hopefully means we loosened it. Yep, it looks like we loosened it. So now I'm just gonna take all this stuff off. So we take the bar out. Also, I turned on the engine before doing this for like, honestly, about a minute. And the only reason I turned it on was so I could turn the wheel, and it's hot. So that quickly, this whole manifold is hot. If you held it, you'd probably burn yourself. I'm not holding it, I'm just touching it to see. But I know that because when I sprayed the WD-40, it smoked a little bit. But I think just heating it up for 1 minute probably helped, because metal expands when it heats up. So that might have helped me loosen that up, because this does have some rust in some spots. So it's really good that that didn't get seized up. And then if you were to try to loosen this up now, and you didn't want to touch it if it's hot, then you would use a 22 millimeter, the same as that O2 socket was. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm just being careful not to touch the manifold. The sensor is also warm, and you would probably want to disconnect the sensor first, because then now I'm spinning it. Ow, burnt myself a little bit. Spinning it, and I'm working against that cable, because it's still connected. So it makes it a little bit harder to rotate off. But I got it out. So be a little bit smarter than me, but getting it off. And then this connector has a tab on the back, and you're supposed to press that in and pull out the sensor at the same time. So it's kind of difficult to do by one hand, and I don't know if I could fit my second hand in there from here. Also, some people will jack it up and then get under it. I don't see any room down there. So for this is a 4Runner 2003. It looks like all this subframe stuff is on there in the way. So I don't think that would work. This would be the easiest way. So give me a second, I'm just gonna pull this out by using two hands. Okay, I got it out. So what I did is I used a somewhat long screwdriver to press that tab. You need to press it a little bit harder than I was able to do with my hand, with my finger. So I was able to press that, and this is what the connector looks like. It just needs to go over this. That's what it looks like. It's a very short cable. This looks like an original also. And it doesn't look too old, so it might have been replaced. This one has the Toyota symbol on it, and I guess that's the part number there if you need it. This might have been original, or they might have replaced it at the dealership. So let me show you the new one. That is the old one. This is the new one. And this one has a Denso number on it. And that's the part number if you need that. I got it on Amazon for like probably $40-something. It wasn't bad at all. But I hear if you buy the original one that's the Toyota symbols are on it, you're paying close to 100, I think. And it's the exact same number, or the exact same sensor. It's just the other one has the Toyota on it, so it's costs more, of course. But they're both made by Denso, so it's the same thing. Okay, so now it's time to put this back together. Some of these come with a cover on it, a plastic cover to protect this because it's very sensitive. And then they come with anti-seize already on the threads. This one came with a small anti-seize pack, and it comes with a lot, so you only need a little bit. I actually kind of used a little bit too much. Just make sure it gets all the way around on the threads. This will make it easier to get it off next time, if there is a next time. And like the last one we took off was not that hard. And you also want to pay attention to how tight that was. Unless it was corroded, then it was probably too tight because it was stuck. But mine was not too tight, so I'm just gonna try to tighten it about the same as it was. So just one quick tip is what I would do is I would put it on first, screw it in as much as you can by hand, and then connect it. Or you could just tighten it before you connect it, but don't connect it and then tighten it, because then you're going to be twisting these wires. All right, so I'll do that now. I'll need two hands. Okay, I was able to twist it on by hand, and I tightened it first, and then I connected it. So to tighten it, I didn't use that same bar that I used to loosen it. I just used this room to keep tightening. I had to adjust the O2 socket one time because it has an angle, so you have to tighten, then it gets kind of stuck. You have to remove it, fix it back, and then tighten again. So I did that once, and the anti-seize helps as like a lubricant also, so you could tighten it and it's easier. So it's easy to over tighten when you have that anti-seize. So I would just recommend doing it by hand like that. And it felt pretty tight, maybe even tighter than before. And then I just pushed that in, heard the click. Just wiggle it a little bit to make sure it's in there, and it looks good. And I don't know if you can see that, but the cable, it has a little bit of slack, so I rotated in such a way that the cable sticks out a little bit this way instead of that way, because it'll be closer to the engine on that side, and I wouldn't want it to get damaged or melt. And I also pushed the little heat shield on the cable all the way up to the connector, because this one has more room here. So anyway, I think I'm just gonna reset the code and then turn it on. What some people do, I think, is they just turn it on and wait for the light to go off. I'm not sure if that's gonna work. So I'm just gonna reset the code, turn it on, drive it. Before it turned, the light came on like as soon as you started driving after I reset it. So if it doesn't come on after like 15 minutes of driving, I should be good. But that's it for this video. If I don't post an update to this, then that means it worked. So I'm not gonna record me driving and all that. That's just self-explanatory. If I don't add anything else to this video, the light came off, it didn't come back on, and it's fixed. So hopefully this was detailed enough and just a little bit better than some of the other ones that are on there, to show you exactly how to get in there. Bye.